negotiations. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver for the Washington Commanders, he's looking for a new contract as well, with 1 year and about $19 million left on his. This is a situation that the Commanders would love to get figured out ahead of training camp so they can hit the ground running and keep the momentum from last year as Jayden Daniels heads into his second season. But so far, no luck on a new deal for Terry McLaurin.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. Thanks to Graz. Other news throughout the show coming from Graz. Let's get to the Commanders now and talk a little bit more about Terry McLaurin. Of course, he played a big part in Jayden Daniels' 14-win rookie season. Daniels recorded the third best total QBR by a rookie since ESPN introduced the metric nearly 20 years ago. He's so good. An average QBR is 50. Daniels well above average across the board in year one. A running back, Austin Eckler, was asked about his quarterback success in year one. Here's what he had to say.
What I've seen from him going into this year, we have the same offensive coordinator, and so bringing that into the mix has now made it so now when we go through OTAs, Jay's already on it. Like he's beyond, kind of the rookie mistakes, like learning the playbook, getting the play call out slow. Like when you start to see him kind of orchestrating out there, you can tell there's that growth. He's starting to get more comfortable, which allows him to even play mentally faster and make better decisions. And so I think there's going to be even more growth.
Maybe I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid, but I just don't see a second-year slump for Jayden Daniels. Marcus, what are your expectations for Jayden as he heads into year two?
I don't see one either, Boogie. I 100% agree with you. And it's not because usually when we talk about these quarterbacks, and the reason why we talked about C.J. Stroud after his rookie year, because of the processing and how fast they were able to play from their mind. So if he's getting smarter, I expect him to be the best quarterback in the NFC East. And I know Dak Prescott is here in Dallas and has a longer tenure, but we see the things that Jayden Daniels can do off script, which adds to a lot of his ability. But it was funny, I was thinking about last year when we got this question for the show today. We didn't talk about Jayden Daniels' legs. We didn't talk about all of the crazy plays that he made. We talked about his clutch, ability to push the football down the field, his ability to move the football with his arm, and those are the things that we got so excited about, and that's the things that we should be excited about coming into the second year. Yes, all of those things are additives, and he does them well. He's fast, breakaway speed, you can run some quarterback run with him, but Jayden Daniels was dominant from the pocket. He was dominant from extending plays and throwing the ball downfield, which should give a lot of people in Washington, D.C. a lot of excitement about his growth and where they can be and potentially be next year.
There's no doubt that there's excitement in Washington, D.C. among the fan base, but also on the team. They believe that Jayden Daniels will continue his upward ascent, and that's what they did this offseason, was put pieces around him to make sure that continued. We didn't expect a sophomore slump from C.J. Stroud, but he had a little bit of one because they couldn't protect it. The offensive line fell apart. So what Washington has done is try and do things to help the protection. Ironically, they got Houston's left tackle, so we'll see how that goes. But they also had Deebo Samuel, who will be a helpful factor in building out the short passing game. They didn't do a lot of that throws at or behind the line of scrimmage last year in Washington. That has been a staple of Cliff Kingsbury offenses. Jayden Daniels should be able to execute it better with a receiver like Deebo Samuel. The reference earlier in the comments about the same offensive coordinator, continuity on the coaching staff heading into year two, so we can keep building with that. All the signs are there for a team that went much farther than anyone expected them to last year to continue that ascent. Remember, Dan Quinn had the Falcons in the Super Bowl in his second year as their head coach. So expectations in Washington are as high as they are anywhere.
Good reminder. Graz, I'm glad you brought up Deebo Samuel, too. I want to ask Hawk about him. Hawk, with the addition of Deebo, how do you see Cliff Kingsbury utilizing him in the offense?
Yeah, it's going to be an asset to Jayden Daniels because it's going to give him another element that they didn't use last year. To Graz's point, those at the line of scrimmage throws, quick throws out of your hand, turn short throws into long throws. It really becomes almost like an extension of the run game. If Jayden Daniels has that at his disposal to kick the ball, get it out of his hands, and get it on the perimeter, and even if Deebo Samuel, like, say what you want about where he is in his yak development in his age, him catching the ball, getting 6, 7, 5 yards, again, it's the equivalent of a really good run play, and it's a highly productive and probable way to get the ball out of Jayden Daniels' hands. So get him rhythm, get Deebo Samuel's moving around, even put him in the backfield, is a whole different element to this offense.
When you think about the offense as a whole, Deebo has the 5th most yards per reception since making his NFL debut in 2019. 9th on that list is Terry McLaurin, also part of the Commanders' offense. All right, we're just getting started on NFL Live. Glad you're here today. We've got a lot to get to, and we're going to start with Aaron Rodgers. We heard the news yesterday that this is likely his last year, according to him. But what does that mean for the Steelers' future next year? A report on that is coming your way. Plus, there's a lot of Browns quarterbacks. Look at all of them. They're all right here. What's going to happen there? Who's winning that starting job? We'll get the info. Plus, our analysts will tell you who they think should be the starter for the Browns. And new look New England. You got Mike Vrabel there, Drake May with a new opportunity. Everything you need to know about Patriots camp, and something that Robert Kraft said that you don't want to miss. That's all coming your way and so much more. Again, we're so glad to have you today. Look who else is here. We got Dan Graziano, Marcus Spears, Andrew Hawkins, and boys, let's get right to it. There's the wave. That means we can officially start. We're going to start with Aaron Rodgers, okay? The breaking news of yesterday. Aaron Rodgers telling the Pat McAfee Show some interesting information that we'll hear in just a little bit. Really wondered about the future for Rodgers as you see him out there at camp. He signed that one-year deal. He said this about his plans to Pat McAfee yesterday.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. That's why we just did a one-year deal. Steelers didn't need to, put any extra years on that or anything. So, this was really about finishing with a lot of love and fun and peace for the career that I've had. I mean, I played 20 freaking years. It's been a long run. I've enjoyed it. And what better place to finish than in one of the cornerstone franchises of the NFL.
Peace, love, and fun. Somebody make a bumper sticker. Aaron Rodgers, last 3 seasons, including his final in Green Bay, have not been the Rodgers we've known in the past, right? Over his first 14 seasons, he led the NFL in touchdown to interception ratio and was top 10 across the board in many other metrics. The last 3 seasons, though, at or near the bottom of the NFL. Injuries certainly a part of that, maybe age as well. But Graz, what can you tell us about what this means for the Steelers now and their future?
Well, look, the Steelers were always going to be looking for the long-term solution at quarterback next offseason. I guess this sort of officializes that they can do that without worrying about, extricating themselves from Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, he got annoyed at the way the Jets did that this offseason. So, but as he mentioned, it's a one-year contract. So the Steelers were always planning to look toward the future at quarterback. They know that they have to get this position figured out for the long term, and that 41, soon to be 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers does not do that. So I really think it just sort of formalizes from his end that the Steelers are going to be able to do that without him kicking up any dirt about it.
I mean, if he wanted peace, love, and fun, he could have came to NFL Live. We do it every day on this show. Aaron Rodgers, I would welcome you to it and spar with you. Here's the thing, though, and I thought that they should have started that process. But to Graz's point, and I've seen over time that this is a part of the Steelers starting their quarterback search for the guy of the future. I thought that by having Aaron Rodgers and you winning potentially too many games, you would be sitting in the same position you've been in for a number of years trying to pick a quarterback late in the rounds. But I understand this is going to have to be a big play for a quarterback next year. That is my understanding. That's how I read this situation. If this franchise and organization wants to go into the future and have real opportunities to win playoff games and get back to those titles that they always strive to get. So it makes sense from that point. I just thought the structure of how they would go about getting a quarterback or finding the guy in the future would be different, and it would look different than having Aaron Rodgers, because I call people that boo-boo crazy if they were to sign Aaron Rodgers. But this is a stopgap for them to get started on that process. I can't say the other word that stands for boo-boo.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hawk.
Boo-boo sounds better, though.
I agree with you, Marcus, and I think when you look at what the Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to do, they got a bunch of picks next year that they can stockpile and say, okay, if we have to move up, we will. But the thing about the Steelers franchise is they always go for it. And you can argue what you feel about Aaron Rodgers, and I'm with you, Marcus, on I don't have a very high expectation for him just from what we've seen over the last couple of years. But to hear him speak, it almost makes me feel sympathetic, because we've been in that situation before. But we feel that the end of our football careers are coming, and you start to hear words like, peace, love, and fun. This is him trying to, again, get kumbaya with the game that he's played for 30 years and go into an organization where he can say, I don't got to be the head coach. I don't have to be the GM. I don't got to be anybody's mentor. I just want to go play football the same way I came in, worried about being quarterback and leaving on a peaceful note. And I actually think we'll probably see a better version of him if that is the way that he goes about his business this season.
Hey, Hawk, you know what would have been nice, Hawk? You know what would have been nice? It would have been nice if somebody gave me and you $13 million to kick our ass out of the organization.